All right, I'm going to start the show off in a very different way today. It's going to be a super casual start, and the reason is I am testing out a new extension. I want to see what this looks like, kind of how this works. All right, so if you're watching the live video, let me back up a second, and this will probably all get cut out from the final episode, but I want to take a couple minutes just to work with the audience in real time on this and see what you think. Get me some feedback over the course of the show or whatever. So I was approached over on the DDO side by someone who wants me to add a, I guess, more universal closed captioning extension to the Twitch channel. And this is on the part of someone who needs it for accessibility reasons. And you know, Twitch does do auto captioning, so does YouTube, and I've seen it. But my understanding is there may be specific reasons why this is better that I may not personally be familiar with. But nonetheless, I figured rather than try to have a long debate over whether it's any good or not, let's just try it and see what happens. So if you're not watching, okay, so it's not showing up in my stream manager view, but when I go to the main channel, I see an ultimate closed captions button, and that's over on the right hand side of the screen. It says something like CC, and then what happens when I click it? Okay. Add closed captions to your streams generated in real time with optional translation. Add to, oh, maybe I need to do this. Oh yeah, it's checked visible. No, it's checked, yeah, it's, okay, so it's checked visible, and okay, this is just for me that I'm seeing this. So then on your side, you should see in the lower left a hide closed caption or a show closed caption button. Oh, wait a second. I need to enable it here. Okay. Start listening. Okay, now it should be available. Oh, okay, this is a sample caption to show you how it looks like. Okay, now it should be available. Okay, I'm seeing it now. And I can change the text, color, and size, and all that sort of thing. So I can mess with that over time here. I'll just leave it at default for this show. I can even give it like a little bit of a color background and opacity, things like that. And my understanding is this should also allow for some level of auto translation, although I haven't really, clearly I haven't messed with this. So what I'm curious is, I don't know, I'm curious whether everyone saw it, whether you did anything or not, for number one. Or do you need to enable it? Because I would prefer this to be an opt-in thing rather than a display by default thing, and that's one of the reasons I'm checking this out. But the font is too small. On mobile, it covered the chat. Not necessarily a fan of that mobile comment. Covering chat isn't good. It's on by default. Okay. So like things like you can enable or disable CC, no problem. Yeah, so that's the one thing about this extension that I really want to know more about, which is what is the benefit of this versus native Twitch subtitling. I assume it's fairly rudimentary on Twitch's side, but it seems to be functional when I've used it. So, but I'm not sure how I feel about it being on by default. Although I guess it's easy enough to click off. You can just hit the hide CC button. But it all depends on how. I'm actually going to call this up on mobile myself, so I can take a look at this here before we go live. I mean, we are live, but I mean, before I start the show proper. Alright, well, I suppose I have to speak then, don't I? Okay, well, that's fine. 'Twas Prilligan the slithy toves, did gyre and gimble in the wabe, all mimsy were the burrow groves, and the mom wraths out grey. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the teeth that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird and shun the Frumious Bandersnatch. All right, well, I'm not seeing it on my mobile setting. Well, let's just leave it where it is then for now, and see how it goes. You can change font size and stuff on your end. Well, that's nice too. But yeah, it's specifically for people with hearing, and then it was approached to me also that this could be a solution for people who have less supported languages and still want to get the information of the show. So I wanted to just kind of test it out, and I'm going to be running it on both streams today, and we'll just kind of see how the feedback goes. And if people are like, this thing is annoying, then perhaps we'll see what's up. But for now, the biggest problem I'm seeing is that it's telling me what I'm saying. And that means I'm immediately faced with the consequences of my own decisions. All right, well, there we go. I'm sorry, it's just, like I say, this is going to be a weird show start today. I would also point out that I have a little bit of a headache today. Honestly, it's fine. I'm fine. It's been a long week, and I'm really still, even though it's been a whole week since the PAX East meetup. Now, it hasn't really felt like it's been that long since PAX East, and I need this weekend to fully recover from PAX East, which was last weekend and last Friday, and worked out pretty well. Thank you to everyone who showed up. By the time our PAX East meetup happened at the Harpoon Brewery last Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, it was pouring rain, high winds, and cold as heck in downtown Boston. You know, PAX East moved into May in part to have better weather for the convention because some years have just been absolutely brutal. And Boston was like, nah, we're going to give you a hearty Boston hello on this one. So Friday at PAX was was the weather brutal. And it did hurt us a little bit in terms of attendance. So if you didn't make it out because you just were like, ain't no way I'm walking through that. I can appreciate that. Thank you though. We did have a pretty full house nonetheless, and everyone who showed up got some cool swag, and it worked out pretty well. And it was a really nice casual meetup this year as well, because rather than it being a little bit more like a formalized, well, what are we going to say? It was just, well, let's just chat. And that's really all we did is just kind of hang out and have a real casual time with the DDO1 Ultra players who showed up at the meetup. So if that was you, hope you had a good time. We got real positive feedback from everyone about it. Everyone seemed to really like it. We had plenty of food this year, so the food wasn't a problem this year. Turns out, we even had an open bar for a while because we had a drink minimum to meet, apparently. So, worked out pretty good for those of you who wanted multiple ginger ales. Angmar and Mordor are progression servers, but they don't have the story pace that Treebeard has. True. Treebeard also started quite a bit earlier than Angmar and Mordor, so it's further along. All right, but let me actually save most of this chat for the actual. I mean, like I said, I might cut some of this out, although I guess I need to include the PAX East stuff now. So this show's weird. Okay, well, as long as we're doing that, then. So what else could I say about PAX East is that last year we had the meetup and all the swag got into the trunk of my car, and then I went home and I stuck it in my kitchen because I wasn't going to be returning to the office because we all work from home these days, so I don't really need to get to the office very much. And so when it came time for this year's PAX East, there was a part of preparing for the event which was, that stuff that was in my kitchen that I moved into my mudroom, I guess I should put that in the car now. And as a result, I was like, maybe I shouldn't hang on to PAX East swag for a whole year inside of my house just because I'm too lazy to go and drop it off at the office. So this year, after PAX East got done, I went right back this week to the office and put everything organized, all of our swag, everything is good to go for the next time. All the tickets and pens and everything are all put away. And I forgot to grab a poster for myself throughout the whole process here of this next week. I forgot to grab any of the swag for myself, so I don't have anything I could show you. I can't show you the poster because it's sitting in the office, because instead of letting it sit in my kitchen for a year, I actually did the right thing and brought it back to the office. And yet it is hurting my show. That's what I get for being organized. I don't know. Speaking of accessibility, before I move on, one of the neatest things I picked up at PAX East this year is a set of Braille tabletop dice. And you kind of see it on here. See how it's got all the little Braille markings on it? And then it's got this little gap on the bottom of each face, and that's to determine facing, so that if you need it for, well, if you need a Braille dice, you can stick your finger and orientate the pips. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm adding that one to my dice collection, but I thought that was really neat and perhaps of interest to some of you out there uh who might need something like that. So if you want to, this is, I don't know if I can put this up. Yeah, dotsrpg.org. And I got this from a kind of a nonprofit accessibility table, and my understanding is, I mean, they're selling this for $20 for the acrylic ones, but no one's getting rich here, and it's a cool thing. So thought I might show that one off then before I formally started the show. I don't have it. Oh, do I have any picks? I have one pick I can share the event. The one I used for my corporate slide this week. Because I was too it wasn't my camera this year. So let me go see if I can find that pick. Everything should be cool to use with it, so. Maybe not. I can't find it. So I'll if I can get a pick, I'll put one up. But I'm not going to just throw a pick up without at least looking at it. So, but yeah, I know Snipes was taking picks. So, all right. Well, let's. I think that's really what I have then for the pre-show. Let's start the show for realsies. Hello and welcome to Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream. I'm your community manager, Kurt Oven. I'll be with you for the next 45 minutes or so now, because I've been talking for a little while, hanging out, having some fun. We're going to be in game. I do have some news. It's been a busy week. After a busy week last week that included a big PAX East meetup. If that was you, if you were there, thank you so much for being there. It was a good time. And we've been busy this week, rolling right into a busy work week. So I'm going to get into some news. And then if I have time left, we're going to get into a little bit of gameplay here as well. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. One other quick note about the show. I have a minor headache today, so that's fine. I'm fine. But I don't have the spotlights on the camera because I don't want the lights shining in my face. So if the color, if everything's a little fuzzy and stuff, it's because I don't quite have my full lighting setup going on here today. It's just sort of natural room lighting, as it were, and deal with it. So okay, let me get to some questions from chat that I saw earlier that I wanted to wait to answer until I got to the more formal part of the show. I just saw a question, and I'm trying to find the question I saw. Uh, Salter or whatever wants to know, because we did not have a new zone in Update 44. Does that mean that there will be other new regions, yes or no, before the end of the year expansion? The end of the year expansion is definitely going to be the biggest amount of landscape work that we're doing. What you mean by new zones, though, in the context of, say, active questing, is one section of what might be zone development. So I think it is possible. I don't really know. Well, no, that's not well. So we have the Shield Isles missions coming, but I don't know if we're reusing or doing current. Has Scenario mentioned that yet? I think it'll be the expansion, but we also do have some housing and other zone-like things that involve zone-like work that we are doing. There is a sneezing emote in the game, and that I'm aware of because it became somewhat controversial during the COVID era, of course. But it is itself just an innocent little sneeze, and you can find it from one of the festival emotes. One of the festival emotes has it. The Harvest Math, I think. Fortunately, I have lost the question that I was looking to answer, so sorry about that. Let me get to a little bit of news. First thing I would mention is the anniversary event. The anniversary event has been the focus of some consternation this week. We did manage to debut the new missions with update 44.1. That was our game update this week that I'll have a little more detail on in just a little bit. But update 44.1 brought new missions for the anniversary event, and unfortunately brought with it a bug as well. Normally, the daily quest wrapper requires the completion of 7 quests, but due to a bug that went live with update 44.1, it is requiring 10 of both the quests and the missions. And that's not good. It's not great, because that means you need to, in order to progress your daily, you got to get 20 instead of the intended 7 of either. So, for now, all we can really do is suggest that you run all 20 if you want to complete the daily wrapper, but we also understand that's ain't going to work. So next week with the patch, we will correct this issue. On top of that, we are looking at an extension of the anniversary event. The discussion of that started just shortly before I went live, so I don't want to give a formal notice at this time, but we're looking at something like another week, and then we'll fix this issue. Now, for some people, you can still get it done, because the people who are most impacted are those who hadn't really started the larger festival wrapper until late, because maybe they were waiting for the missions or whatever. So, we're working to fix that. Looks like we'll probably be extending the anniversary by a week. We'll have formal messaging incoming, and the anniversary event has already been extended by, gosh, this was originally set to go through what? I don't even know. I think it was this past weekend was its original deadline, and now it's going through the 26th. So it'll be shut off on the 27th already, and if we go by another week, that would put it into June 2nd, which could well be what we're going to do here. So, but the anniversary event by this point then will have been extended by at least 3 weeks beyond its original time frame. So hopefully at that point then everyone will be able to complete the things that they need to complete. And then next week with a 44.2, we'll correct the underlying issue, so you'll need the typical amount of either or. It used to just be quests. Now it's quests or missions. So. Are we going for a record on the extension? Maybe. This might be the longest event in Lochar history, huh? But yeah, it's certainly not intended behavior, and something we're working to fix as quickly as we can is the main point here. All right. So when I do look at the calendar as well, I would just point out that the Forester crafting event is underway right now. That began yesterday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we just this morning fixed an issue on a couple of the 32-bit game worlds where the Forester crafting event was not starting on the hour every hour like it ought. It took us a little while to track this one down because we were hearing, hey, the Festival of the Forester event's broken yesterday. But while at the same time it was being completed on many of the live game worlds. And we did track it down to a couple of worlds that did not have the right world event property set, and that's now been corrected. So as of something a couple hours ago here, the Forester event should be working on the hour every hour through the 21st, shutting off at 3 a.m. Eastern on the 22nd on every game world. So, last thing I would mention, though, because we are nearing the end, is our LI Reward Track Season 14. That means the next LI Reward Track debuts next week, next Wednesday. 14 debuts. That means if you are in the middle of 13 and you haven't claimed your rewards yet, make sure you do that before the 21st, before we bring the game worlds down for 44.2, something around 9 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday, May 21st, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days from now, something like that. So claim your stuff for the LI reward track and then get ready for the new one, which arrives next week. Also arriving next week is Myrtle Mint. I have got an update on some changes that'll be going out next week on that. Thank you for the reminder myself. I'm going to have to do a little bit of localization work for next Wednesday, it looks like. But, oh, no, maybe we're okay. I'll be putting this up on a website article sometime soon, but for now, available from Myrtle Mint and in loot boxes are things like boots, gloves, hat, garb of the able angler, tome of the able ice shore fisher, chair of the able angler's favorite painting, steed of the able angler, war steed of the able angler with its typical accessory package, available in loot boxes only, pack of the able angler and desk of the able angler, now available for barter, stuff that was only loot box last year, mask, cloak, hooded cloak, settee, and garden perch of the silent hunter. And then we're moving a bunch of stuff off of Myrtle and onto the curator. They're basically making room because that list was getting too long. And I'm not going to get into all that right now. It's probably, maybe 20 items or so. And that'll just be on the curator rotation. Just the way we're kind of rotating this stuff through. So, that's next week. What else should I mention? Treasure Boogan event also kicks off next week. That begins on Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and runs through the 27th. Shut off 3 a.m. Eastern on the 28th. So, pretty busy active event schedule next week as well. Other thing I would mention, I can actually put this one up on the screen briefly, and mention something else as a related note to it. Quick note on our sales this week that As of yesterday, we do have Legacy of Morgoth and map carryalls available in the Lotro store for points. So we had stated in our fact that May would be when Legacy of Morgoth arrived for points, along with some of the various bits, and that is now here. So that's now permanently available in the Lotro store. Also, our freebies and enhanced XP supply, so you should probably do that. But the thing I wanted to call out is a change that you may have seen on Lotro.com this week that's actually part of an exciting change, even though it means I need to do something different. If you'll notice when you click into an article on Lotro.com right now, you get this kind of bolded bit at the top that is formatted weird. That is a problem I am currently working to sort through. And the issue, as it were, is I am happy to announce that after quite a while, we finally have a new and functional launcher newsfeed. On Wednesday of this week, with update 44.1, we flipped over from the old RSS feed to the new RSS feed. The old RSS feed was procced off the old forums, if you can believe it, and the new RSS feed is procced off Lotro.com. So what that means, though, is a bit of a formatting change to the way I'm going to have to post articles on Lotro.com, and there's still some remnants I'm working through, which is why there's that weird bolded bit on the website right now. The way the Launcher newsfeed works right now is that it pulls the title and the summary from the news articles that are posted on Lotro.com, and I can opt in or out whether or not it shows up in the newsfeed. And that's really about it. But what that means in practice is I need to link to the articles. Like, I need to link to the full article in the summary description in order for you to be able to link through the Launcher newsfeed item to the article itself. And the reason that's a bit of a change is because we hadn't had to do that before. Normally, when you're looking at an article on Lotro.com, you just click on it and you open the article. But that doesn't work. That functionality doesn't work yet in the Launcher newsfeed. So I need to embed article URL info in every summary that I want you to be able to click through for more information on the launcher. Well, I did do work before we brought the new Launcher newsfeed out to cull really all the old crap from the news feed, all the old sales and bonuses and things that just were not even remotely relevant anymore. And I tried to preserve all the news articles that had some historical interest or other interest just because it's still useful or something. But because it goes back to 2022 now, English, French, German, and DDO, because we did this on the DDO side as well, I can't very reasonably go back to like 1,200 news articles and add links to them all. So I had to make a decision this week, because we kind of pounced on our ability to bring out this news feed, to just put the raw sales text, because I wanted you to be able to see the raw sales info like you used to in the Launcher news feed. But when I do that, it causes a problem with the display on Lotro.com. It's just so on. Let me just drop that back up on the thing so you can see what I'm talking about here. Yeah, see how it's all bolded and stuff there? That's what happens, because it's formatted correctly for the Launcher newsfeed, but it's not formatted correctly for the website. So I have to make a decision here whether or not to just be a get the sales info here, and the sales info here is a link to the full article. But then that means you no longer can just read it on the Launcher newsfeed. Or I got to figure something out. So I haven't quite solved this problem yet. So if it looks kind of weird on Lotro.com, I think just deal with it for now, because I'd rather have this info displaying in the game launcher than making you click through a link every time. Long term, and at one point, what was the quote original plan is that you would click on the title in the Launcher newsfeed and it would automatically send you to the relevant article. But because of the way that right now we're doing like some kind of redirecting, it's not really working correctly. So until and if that can get fixed, I'm going to have to make a decision here. So that's what's up. But also that's what's up. We have new launcher news feeds, English, French, German, for Lord of the Rings Online. And I was hoping what I want to do today after the shows are done is actually go through. I can't do 1,200 articles right now. Maybe in a year, like over the course of 6 months, I can, but I can't do it right now. But what I do want to do is go back through more of the release notes and at least make sure that the release notes will link to relevant release notes. And I'm hoping to maybe do some of that this afternoon, evening after I'm done with the shows. So I'll try to get, or maybe even this weekend, I'll try to get some of it as best I can. But that's sort of what's up. But that's also cool because that means it's just a straight up RSS feed. I'm going to have the links to the RSS feed on the forums and Discord and things like that. And we already have a Discord RSS feed. But if you just want to get the launcher news feed on your website, whatever, read it in Chrome, you'll be able to do that now. And on top of that, we have now a functioning news feed for Bullroarer. Whether we end up using it a lot, I don't know yet, but we now have the functionality to have a nice, separate, maintainable news feed on Bullroarer as well. And that could be good as well. So. You could probably hide that summary on the website while still being able to read it for the launcher. Yes, if we had web development resources that we could stick to this task, but we do not. So. I agree. I'd rather have the launcher right than the website. As someone said in the Twitch, that was ultimately where I'm falling to. As you know, the website is, I don't want it to be total garbage, but if it smells a little bit, to have a nice shiny news feed, maybe I'll take it. So. Someone is saying, Endurance Fire saying, I laughed hard when someone in the Discord said, put Legacy of Morgoth up for points, and I replied with, okay. Yeah, so it's one of those weird things that on the one hand, as a community manager, you can sort of use some gallows humor to it and be a little goofy and be like, did you really think, like, I get asked this a bunch. When is Sting gonna open? When will we, what exact time will Legacy of Morgoth be available for points? When is the expansion going to be released? What's the date for the expansion release? And I get a steady, not a stream, but a trickle. I get a steady trickle of those kind of comments, not just in the public channels where they're adding me on Discord or whatever, but in private channels even more so. Like I had 100 and some DMs over last weekend. Maybe a dozen of them or something like that. And there's a part of me that's like, wait a sec, did you really think I was just going to give you the release date of the expansion in a DM on Discord? Like, did you really think I was going to do that? But then I try to be understanding as well and be like, it doesn't really matter. You know, if they just want to hit me up and ask the date and I can't answer them, so what? You know, I mean, who cares? But occasionally it's kind of funny. I do try when I'm at the point and I see something like that right when I'm about ready to hit publish on the Legacy of Morgoth now available for points sale, that I could be like, yes, you get that response. You get that response where you can just say yes and it magically happens. So yeah. All right. Moving on. Okay, I covered the... Oh, we can mention this. Let me put this up on the screen. This is something we did this week. Because of the delay in Sting, I pounced on opening up Blue Sky for Lotro. I've been mostly there for, honestly, about a month now, and I've just been too busy with Sting and transfers and everything else to really do the final work I needed to do to open up our Blue Sky, which was to integrate it into our existing publishing software and things like that. Well, I pounced on it this Wednesday because we weren't opening Sting. So I had a couple hours in my morning open up, and I was like, you know what, let's do this. So I opened up Blue Sky for all of our games. So both Official Lotro and Didio Unlimited now have Blue Sky accounts. And because they're a modern social media network, they just pull out those vowels. So it's officiallotro.bsky.social. officiallotro.bsky.social. And it's the exact same as our Twitter feed and our Facebook feed is what it is. But for quite some time now, we've been asked to be on Blue Sky, and we're happy to do it. And one of the big changes that really is making this happen is I could integrate it into our current publishing tools. So when it comes time to post, hey, the game worlds have opened, here's our sales, things like that, it's just hitting another button, just like I hit for Facebook and Twitter. And it's not too much more work. So also, as part of this work, I've reactivated our threads. So if you're using threads, same dealio. Everything's going live on now Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky. And all of them are going to have parity on content, with the exception of any retweets, shares, and comments that we might make through the official. I try to keep our voice pretty quiet. We don't do a lot of one-on-one interacting through our Twitter or Blue Sky, but occasionally I will get back to someone. And we get DMs and things there too. So, but this is really a way to share community work. A lot of the festivals and events and blogs and write-ups and things that people are talking about on these spaces. This gives us an opportunity to coalesce that, share it with the wider community, and build up a community on these social media platforms. So there we go. I think I'm close to the end here. I would mention that we have opened Dunshuma, the King's Fortress, to Tier 2 this week. We also have mentioned that the Leading the Charge deed is going until 3 a.m. Eastern on June 26th, so through June 25th. And that happened this week, so I've also added that to the public event schedules in English, French, and German. We did have our game update this week, update 44.1. As mentioned, anniversary event missions. We fixed that Year 9 Gandalf issue, although, from what I understand, may have created another. Well, with the quest wrapper. We fixed an issue with bundles in Lelia's Market that had not been delivering all their items. So if you had a bundle that you picked up from Lelia's Market that you couldn't open, you can now open it and get your stuff. You can read the release notes about some travel skill fixes and things like that. We also fix some instance currencies. So several instance currencies for level 150 can now be exchanged with each other at a relevant quartermaster. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but various instance currencies can be swapped at some level of conversion there. And you can see the chart in the release notes. And that's really what I have going on. And then, like I say, for next week, we have update 44.2. Main fix will be this festival fix and anything necessary, I believe, for probably Myrtle Mint. And then Myrtle Mint is going live as well. The other big announcement, and this is really the final piece before I get into just a little bit of gameplay here, is Sting. 2 weeks ago, when I was on the air here, it was such a different time, man. The world was so different 2 weeks ago when I announced that we were going to open Sting, and then about 40 minutes later realized, oh wow, so we're doing the opposite then. Okay, well maybe I should delete the video. So what happened is I was fairly confident and our timing of Sting opening potentially as soon as this past Wednesday. And that proved to be incorrect. An issue came up that we had to delay it, and so we did make this announcement, which is now translated into French and German and official in all the places. So let me just go through that real quick. We're working on changes to prevent an issue with housing escrow becoming lost when a player sells their premium personal or kinship house. This has been a long-standing customer service support ticket and other issues since our server transfers, and we need to fix it. Unfortunately, while we have a fix in progress, it has not yet passed internal testing. So, until it does, we are postponing the launch of Sting. We expect Sting to open no earlier than next Wednesday, and we'll have more information on timing when we can. We're working on getting a preview. We did actually do a preview this week on Bull Roar, and we'll have more information on the timing as soon as we can. So this fix will return items that have gone missing to date, and then this isn't going to happen going forward. It's only going to correct items that went missing due to the sale of a premium personal or kinship house. So if you had items that went missing for some other reason, this probably won't fix it. There's an important caveat to this, which is that this fix requires players to log into the current game world before doing another transfer. Think about it this way. Your stuff is disassociated right now, and that's why it's not there. We need to do the work to basically identify those items with your character and bring it back together. That is done through a process that takes place when you log into the character into the game world. If you were to transfer without that process taking place, and all of a sudden your stuff is on whatever, Meriadoc, and now you're on Sting, your stuff's still behind because it never got dissociated back to your character, right? So we need you to log in. We can't stop you from transferring. That's the other part. So, however, if you transfer and you have not logged in to collect your stuff will be permanently disassociated. There'll be no way to identify it with your character ever again, and CS will be unable to assist. So, you need to log into your character before any further transfers if you have a housing escrow missing item issue. Once this fix goes live. I don't know when this fix is going live. No earlier than May 21st. As of this Friday at 12:42 p.m., I have no indication that we're opening Sting on Wednesday. If I get word of that, if things do come together and that changes with work that's taking place right now, then we'll have updated information next week about the opening of Sting. But stay tuned. We'll have that information. And when we are ready to do this, that means the fix is going to be in place. And when that fix is in place, log into your characters. And that's all you got to do. So, for now, however, because we are not turning transfers off, if you were transferring, you need to remove all hooked items and place them into character storage, and then remove all items from any small premium per house storage chests prior to any shared items transfer. Just don't do a shared items transfer unless you do that. And then as soon as we have more information, we will. This will be, so who needs to worry about this? Anyone who has housing escrow items missing. If you have a ticket in with CS because you're missing stuff, don't do a further transfer until this fix gets in place. Cross transfers between 64-bit worlds will open after Sting opens and then after our Dark World transfers. So think about the remaining process for our 64-bit transfer period. We have Sting to open. Let's just say that's within next Wednesday after that, something like that. Probably a week after that, we will begin to open Dark World transfers. And dependent somewhat on velocity of those transfers, it'll take a little bit of time for all the Dark World transfers to be done. we need to let that rush go through before we open up Sting, or before we open up further rotating transfers. It also makes sense to settle people and then do this final piece, which is the rotating transfers. So, let's say Sting opens within the next couple of Wednesdays. Week after that, the Dark Worlds open. 1 or 2 weeks after that, the rotating worlds start. And we're doing as already discussed, 2 worlds transfer to 1 world. 1 world will not be able to transfer the 2 because you cannot transfer to and from at the same time. So, and assume you're on Orcrist and you want to get characters to Orcrist despite it being overpopulated. What we're going to wait until Orcrist is going to be the last one, because we need to settle people out as much as possible before we make things worse on Orcrist. So it'll go 1 week, 2 weeks for Sting, another week for Dark Worlds, another week for before we start rotating, and then third week would be Orcrist in that. So that's the rough plan. Now, that's been the plan since we started this process here. It's just the exact date that is all going to happen is really dependent on when we open Sting. And that's really dependent on the stuff I just discussed. So, I'm concerned about any statements I might make that may not fall with the reality of a system that is still being developed, has not yet passed testing, and is not yet live. So making some kind of promise about whether your specific set of circumstances that has led to items going missing will be automatically fixed with this fix is something I would rather say, I don't know. Is it back? And then once it's fixed, if the answer is yes, then great, this included you too. And if no, we know that it's not going to correct issues that have nothing to do with the fix that's in place, right? So I'm not going to make a promise today that your specific edge case is going to get fixed. But it probably might. Probably might. All right. Festivals are a steady source of consumable maps. This is true. All right, well, let me head in game then for just a little bit. I've already been logged out due to inactivity. Let me take care of that. All right. It's 12:48. This show's been kind of rocking, not off the rails, but sort of wobbly since the start. Let me go completely off topic. For family. I'm going to go completely off topic here. Just so you know, the next couple minutes have nothing to do with the Lord of the Rings Online. Do not reflect the opinions of Standing Stone Games or its affiliate companies. Where did it go? Here we are. Some of you may know, I have a twin brother. I don't know if you know that I have a twin brother, but I do. I have a twin brother. And I also do a podcast about vinyl records and things like that. And he happened to join me for a show that I'm going to be putting live on my own stuff, my own YouTube channel for it this weekend. And that's not relevant here. What is relevant, however, is the subject matter, which is very heavy metal. So, if you're an easy listening kind of person, that's great. You probably aren't interested in this. But if you think, Black Sabbath is easy listening, then you probably do want to know this, which is that my brother has started doing a radio show out of the Twin Cities of Minnesota. He is part of a group of people that are keeping an old heavy metal radio show going on a community radio station that's been a big part of Twin Cities culture for decades, called KFAI.org. They're a community-run radio station. This is not corporate owners. This is all community-run, has been forever. And on weekends, they do a very heavy metal show called The Root of All Evil. It's been going on for decades. And the person who started it back in 1987 was this guy named Earl Root, and he passed away some time ago. And since his passing, others have carried the torch and kept the show going on every weekend, doing live heavy metal. And by that, I mean like Deicide style heavy metal, or Slayer, or that kind of thing. So if the idea of hearing like War Ensemble blasting out of your normally quiet community radio appeals to you, you might be interested in this. And the reason I'm going off topic on this show is my twin brother is going to be a part of this weekend. Speaking of community events, this is KFAI's 24-hour Metal Meltdown, their 7th annual tribute to Earl Root. It's on kfai.org. If you happen to live in the Twin Cities, 90.3 FM, you probably already know that. And he's going to be on the air with the group of people. I want to give the Locha community the opportunity to know this about my twin brother and to perhaps support my twin brother. If you're hanging around playing Locha this weekend and you're feeling maybe perhaps a little more Mordor musically, maybe check that one out. All right, let's head in game. Yes, someone in chat is like, I listened to The Root of All Evil for years. I did too. I do. I've been that show has just been a trip for decades now. And it's fantastic, so. Alright, we are in game. We are behind in game by a very long amount. Part of the, I have a stream character that I try to save the good stuff, especially for the live stream. And I wanted to save this final chapter heading into Crown of Hamat for the live stream, but I'm a blabbermouth and I can't stop talking. And every week, we have too much news and stuff, or I'm doing a PAX party, and so I'm way behind on progress of our story. Maybe I need to do a special stream or something to get caught up. A special let's just play the game stream. But I'm at the start of chapter 13.1, and I want to kind of roll through the story here in the next couple of shows, and then run Crown of Hamat stuff and all that will be coming after it as well. So that's really what I'm up to here, and let's just cook along for, maybe I'll go in a few minutes over.
On the ride south from Gondor, Mithrandir spoke to me of the Tharduth and the Otugi.
So basically we've been doing the work and we're ready to kind of enter the next phase of the story here, and I'm not going to recap the whole story right now.
The old man that came from the north speaks strangely.
The orcs we have seen before now are the merest imitations of a stronger and larger breed, the Otugi. I am eager to test my combat prowess. Okie dokie. Sketching maps, fighting orcs. That's what we're up to. So let's go do that. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. As discussed on the last show, maybe I shouldn't just jump off the cliff. Even though I am sorely tempted. Let me lie and actually be completely selfish for a second and just give you the name of my podcast. If you want to find the podcast, which this weekend is about super heavy metal, with my guest twin brother standpoint, my co-host is Draculetta, who is himself an SSG games player. Him and I go way back to Dungeons & Dragons Online circa 20 2008 or 9 or so. So we've been buds for a while. But he does a DDO podcast, and he is part of the group that runs Lotro Players News. He's the owner of the site. Even if he's not a weekly participant on the Lotro side, because it's not the game he plays. But Pineleaf does, though. Anyway, that's this weekend, and I've been doing a radio show on YouTube for 4 months, 6 months now. It's called the Record Players Podcast. If you want to find it, you can. I would love to see more viewers. And if you think people call me Dave Grohl on Lotro side, holy moly, wait till you do a record vinyl podcast. And people are like, oh, what? Well, you are Dave Grohl, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I don't even look like him. But if you look at my channel's YouTube comments, I would say more than 10% are some kind of Dave Grohl comment. When will there be optimization? Titan Metal wants to know. Perhaps you can clarify a little more of what kind of optimization you might be talking about here. We have been, and continue to do, we have just been all about that for months now. So, let me know specifically kind of the area of reach you were looking for. I am, however, not seeing orcs. Alright, so let me figure this out. Also, why am I on my war steed? I don't even want to be on a war steed. Let me say this. I don't dislike war steeds, but I don't like riding around in them, and I will never understand why y'all like to ride around in your war steeds. Yeah, you go a little faster. So what? I am all about hitting that numlock key. There we go. Much better. Okay, still good. Because with sacrifice up, you can't be dismounted? Okay, well, honestly, that's a solid answer. Solid answer. Thanks for posting that. Can appreciate that. Still, I'm a multitasker, especially when I'm gaming on my own. So, like, I'm riding around in my regular steed with numlock going. I'm popping over to a side monitor to pop in a new video or whatever, YouTube video and things that I have on the side while quick checking Lotro Discord for chat and see what's up and all that sort of thing. So I'm constantly, like, popping back and forth. So for me, the slightly slower travel time is not a problem. Especially when I'm just on my own. And I'd rather be able to do that than have to worry about handling my war steed. How do you keep count on the problem with the quest wrapper? Not very easily, but you need 10 of each. So if you've got both set to 7, you just need to do 3 more. And that's really about the best about it. Alright, good place to sketch. What if I collect teeth from jackals? Okay. It will need to be, for the purposes of the anniversary event, it will need to be the anniversary missions. That's correct. So, but the intention is you'll be able to complete the wrapper by either doing quests or the anniversary missions. So, in terms of keeping track, you won't need to. Well, you'll be able to keep track of the missions through the mission wrapper, so that number will increment. And the wrapper will just increment once this issue gets fixed. So you can keep track of it that way. For now, though, you're just going to have to get a little notepad and a pencil or something. Go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or something like that. And then we'll be getting this issue fixed, you know, as soon as we can. So. Oh no, 3 monitors is not an evil lair. You've got to have at least 6 in 2025 to be considered an evil lair. 3 monitors is just an active internet user. I actually need a 4th monitor. And I'm not joking. I need a 4th monitor to be able to do everything I want to do without having annoying issues. So 3, I mean 3, and that's just normal. You can actually tell your significant other that 1 monitor is I mean, 1? What, they can only look at the 1 screen? That's like having a clock with only an hour hand, as far as I'm concerned. I have a very hacky sort of home computer setup, though. All my monitors are really just cheapies that I picked up on an emergency basis when my last one busted. So it's kind of a poor state of my monitors. Someday, if I had like a real office budget, what I would have done is get 3 of the same monitor, so you don't have to worry about like horizontal or vertical placement and all that kind of thing. So trying to find a place for more jackals is what is up. I got just a couple more to defeat. Make sure. Oh, I'm off. Ah! Well, hello everyone. Let me take care of this problem real quick. Surprise! That's what you get for looking away at your monitor, from your monitor. Alright, I have got one more jackal to defeat. That would be lovely if I could find one Nice and easy. Oh, there we go. Yep. Yay. Alright, sweet. Oh, that's like a dazed one from earlier. Okay. That's interesting. It was really fun to hang out with Lotro people at the meetup last Friday. I think it went really great. It was cool. We got a lot of feedback, really about the state of the game worlds and kind of what your kinships and all that are up to, because it's such a big time for everyone right now. That come on, let me get you. Can I reach you? Here we go. Sweet. All right, now I just need to find a good place to. Okay, that's a ways away. All right. Yes, so for those of you who are just encountering new closed captioning, I'm just testing something out based on a request from a player on the other game side, but it's occurred to me that that could be a really good solution on the Lotro side as well. So I'm testing out a live Twitch closed captioning extension that has more features than the default. So, you know, I can't promise I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to really see the results myself here, but I'm just trying it out. But if you're encountering it for the first time, there's a little button on the left-hand side that you can just turn it on and off. I've also seen people using, like, TV screens as monitors and that. I haven't really gone that route myself. I've considered it, but I know even people at work used to do that. One of our old Lotro producers, that was how they had their office set up, is they just had a TV on mounted to the wall on the side of their desk, because they were constantly looking at stuff in-game. And they just did it that way. So they just had like basically a permanent Lotro game client mounted to the wall from a TV and a computer that was, you know, next to their desk. This might be a little tricky to get to, won't it? Yeah, probably off. I'll make some progress for a few minutes, and then I'll get going here. Two by 22. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's the only thing with multiple monitors. You do need to be a little careful about your video card. You know, make sure you've got enough power to make it all do its thing. Well, you know, it's going to take me a while to make my way over to where I need to be here. So I think I'm going to do that off camera, and we will continue with Chapter 13.1 here next week on Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream and youtube.com/Lord of the Rings. Thanks so much for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, giving us a like is the best thing you can do. The quickest, easiest, best way to spread the word about Lotro on YouTube. Subscribing gets these videos in your feed. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed the Forester event and everything here with Update 44.1. We'll have more information on the release of Sting, Update 44.2's release notes, and probably an anniversary extension by early next week as well. So until next week, have fun, everyone. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Except this canyon lizard wants to have the last word, so... Okie doke.